I know it's been a long time since I've spoken to any of you guys. I apologize. But as you all know, life gets in the way sometimes. And we all know about the current global situation, so let's not dwell on that viral issue. Thank you. What this video here we're about to show you is an interview we had done with Cameron and Jackie of the Off-Grid Camper. Cameron was the one who was kind enough, well, of course I paid him, so that helped, but he is who we hired to help us do our install last November of our solar and our Battleborn batteries. Please take time to watch this. I think you'll find it very informative, so that if this is a project you're wanting to work towards, you've got now another resource. Think of it that way. I think a mosquito just landed on my nose. Anyway, we'll see that in post-edit. Please enjoy. Don't forget to like this. Do the notification icon, the little bell, ding ding ding, as well as click subscribe. We need you to need us. All right. Please leave us any comments in the bottom. Let us know what's going on with your world, because we have had to amp up and we are now full time. I know, right? Way ahead of our schedule, but we'll bring that information to you guys later. Thank you and enjoy the video. First, welcome to the channel. We're the Blacktop Trekkers. Michael, this is Lisa. You gotta look that way. Thanks. Today we're actually talking with the off-the-grid campers. Or camper, sorry. I'm bad about that.
It could be plural, it's fine.
There you go, thank you. I appreciate that. And they are the ones who did our solar and Battleborn battery install. So first let's introduce yourselves, please.
Cameron Belcher, owner Off the Grid Camper, main installer.
And I'm Jackie, and I help Cameron sometimes.
Okay, free labor, got it. All right, so
She gets paid. She gets paid.
Whoa. This isn't child friendly here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so basically, what's your background? What got you?
So I was actually an auto technician for a long time. So I kind of specialized in automotive electronics to begin with. That was what I was doing, was diagnostics on computer controlled vehicles. But really, what kind of transferred it over to this was when we started traveling. We, 6 years ago now, got it in our minds we were going to drive to South America. And we sold everything and moved into a motorhome and drove halfway through Mexico before we got slammed in a car accident. So we had a lot of hiccups along the way that basically prevented us from doing this great trip, but for whatever reason kept us on the road continually.
Gotcha.
And so it just kind of kept evolving until finally one day we were living up in Washington and I had people coming to me asking for this kind of work. And I was uniquely qualified to learn it, and also was realizing that there was nobody offering it. So I went and got a business license and started hunting down every kind of education I could for this, because it's not like you can go to school for RV solar tech.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then we took it on the road when the first winter came. Bought an RV and hit the road and have been doing the installs.
Nice.
In a lot of states at this point. Started out in Washington State, went all the way down California, over to Florida, back up.
Pretty soon you can do your own school.
Man.
I have suggested that to him, by the way.
Just saying.
Just throwing it out there.
It is
Become a
difficult to
teacher.
kind of piece together all the information on this, and luckily I've made some really good relationships with some great businesses that are willing to kind of take me in and show me their products and processes too. So just anything you can kind of do to make sure that you're staying on the cusp of the technology and doing it as professional as possible.
So 6 years ago is when you started basically on-road traveling. So of that, how many of that has been devoted to actually off-grid camp?
3 years now.
2 years in our RV, and then a year before that, before we hit the road. When we started
So there was a year of it being stationary, and then
Okay.
it was 2 years of it being actually a nomadic business.
Yeah, and like Cameron said, once winter was coming, we had a choice of either buy a shop and have a place for people to come to us, or hit the road, and we definitely chose Trying to get out of there.
Chase the weather chasers.
It was
Yeah, we miss being on the road.
either
for
make
sure.
our own weather in a building or just go where I can put solar panels on in better weather.
That sounds good. So year one was a bit of an experiment to see if that would even work.
Yeah.
And we slept in like 91 different places in 10 months, and
Wow.
We did whatever it took to get a fledgling business up and running, and
we're slowing it down.
we are
That's
definitely
awesome.
slowing it down. I do not move more than once a week now, sometimes less than that. But
Well, that actually kind of rolls into one of the questions I had here for you was, future plans and goals, personally and professionally. Yeah, because
Not to get personal.
our people want to know.
well, I mean, as far as
15
personal
of them.
goals,
What do you?
I'm a super strong believer that you've got to have these little these physical, tangible activities
Right.
that are your motives behind moving. Because it's way too easy to just get into this lifestyle where you're just always in your little cave, traveling around the country,
Right.
pulling the curtains. So one of mine is I love kiteboarding. She got me into kiteboarding, and so I want to try and get in as many bodies of water that are windy as possible across this country. So that's been one of my personal goals.
Okay.
As far as professional goals, I just want to develop this business farther. I want to figure out what else I can do with it, whether that's making some connections with manufacturers, because they're going to put me out of business someday. I might as well help them. That's
a way to
very
look at
realistic,
That's a way to look at it.
And also, I want to get into more accessories for RVs. I'd really like to move into HVAC, learning how to put in mini split systems, because everybody wants off-grid air conditioning,
Right.
and as far as energy efficient cooling, it doesn't get any better than mini split. So that's next on the agenda when I have some time. Is put one in my rig, play with it, stress test it,
Okay.
figure out how I'd offer it.
All right.
I like that's a key when you have some time.
Yeah, when I
Yeah,
have some
exactly.
time, exactly.
March, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. As far as the work you have done, what would you say has been your most challenging, and possibly if it was your most rewarding, or is that a different one? In the projects.
Most challenging. I guess that kind of would tie. There was 2 projects that kind of come to mind. One of them was really challenging because the customer was actually a software engineer. So he was very, very particular about what he wanted. And what I found is that people that are very particular, in the end, we usually come up with something beautiful.
Okay.
More so than if they go, do whatever you want with this cubby. Like somebody that has a plan. So we had a Winnebago View, the little Class C Sprinter chassis, and he wanted all the power in the world packed into this thing. So literally the entire roof was blanketed. There was no walking room. He's fully aware of that.
Didn't have a nuclear tower on your cooling tower.
Just about. I mean, it had like a 16-foot tower for a cell booster on it. So
Oh, wow.
Wow.
we had a cell booster. We put 1,115 watts on this thing. We stacked batteries in the cabinet. We had 1,200 amp hours, and it was a crazy feat of engineering to get all this power in a safe manner
Right.
in this vehicle. And then the other real challenging and rewarding one is I worked a very large project on the Airstream, and it was like a special edition Pendleton Airstream.
Okay.
Just navigating the way that Airstreams are built, trying to get wiring and components through this, all meanwhile not damaging a beautiful Airstream.
Right.
That was a really rewarding and challenging project.
Yeah, and I can see that because you're right. Airstreams, there's something about their design, though for some it may seem very simple, but it's the simplicity of it that makes it so beautiful.
Right.
It's just it's a gorgeous piece of
And it's the quality of construction that makes it so hard to run new wires.
Right.
Yep.
All the walls are double walled and riveted shut. You're not getting anything through.
Yeah.
So you've got to find creative ways to
Work
not
with what
have
you've
your
got.
customers stare at all this wiring you're putting in. So,
Well, you have a tool for that now. I saw you using
I got
it.
the metal nibbler.
Yeah, all right, so we covered some of that. Actually, so let's talk a little bit about our project.
Okay.
Okay. Tell them
Here.
about our system.
All right. This is actually a really cool system that we got in this fit with. So I think one of the key things that you got to realize in bigger motorhomes, be they fifth wheels or motorhomes,
Right.
is that they're all going to be 50 amp service. And 50 amp service is essentially you have 2 separate hot wires.
Correct.
So you got 50 amp in one phase, 50 amp in another phase. They're moving waves and they cannot be connected or they collide. So the moment you introduce an off-grid system where you want to run an inverter, which can only produce single phase,
Right.
we're either dealing with, hey, which half of your rig do you want to make work, or buying a whole other inverter. Luckily, I worked with a company called AM Solar, and they make something called phase selecting switch. So what we were able to do with this rig is put in one large 5,000 watt inverter, run it through a switch that will automatically combine or disconnect when either one or two phases is available. And now we have what I like to call shore power simulation.
Okay.
The entire rig runs as if we're plugged in. So not only do we have the big 5,000 watt inverter, we have 600 amp hours at 12 volts. This is actually 24 volt systems. It's 300 amp hours at 24 volts of batteries, and 1,200 watts of solar on the roof, all working together to keep this thing operating like you're in a campsite. And then with your guys' easy starts and everything, we can fire up the air conditioners. Air conditioning, I know I just talked about mini splits. You've only got so much run time, obviously.
Right.
These are big power hungry devices on the roof. But and I think one of the coolest things about this project was actually your idea, was to come in with the 80-20 rack,
Right.
to put all the batteries on that behind your false wall, and bumping the wall out a little bit and rearranging plumbing and electrical and everything. And the fact that we got all this equipment in here and have only lost about 2 inches of storage in your storage area
Well,
is pretty incredible.
I appreciate the credit, but I can't take full credit. I did see someone who did a similar design on YouTube. Go YouTube. But the 80-20, again, another YouTuber kind of led me to this product, and I saw the value in it because I saw that it didn't have to worry about wood rot from water damage if possible, or if it ever came to that. Reduction in flex,
Right.
where wood, as time goes on, has potential to crack and dry out. So it's lightweight, and it reinforces the floor joist as it stands right now.
And strong. It's
yeah.
perfect to hold the batteries in place.
And very versatile,
Right.
because as you point out in one of your
Adult director set.
it's an adult director set, but also when you did one of your Instagram, you had mentioned the fact that it's easily adjustable when we add more batteries to it. So I appreciate that. So the pros overall versus the cons with this project.
I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I feel like it's almost exclusively pros until we get to the price tag. I mean, this stuff it's not cheap.
No, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
If you want to keep cycling through things,
Oh, right.
you'll end up spending more in, say, a 5-year period than you would if you just go ahead and spend the money up front, get the value for the product,
Absolutely.
and then you don't have to replace it possibly for 15 years.
And you can't kill these batteries either.
That's that's what I've been told. I don't know though. I've been
I
told
haven't killed one yet. I've killed some other lithium brands that I
Okay.
won't mention, but
but they're not Battleborn.
I haven't killed a Battleborn yet.
There you go.
Good.
I want to though. I have goals.
So, well, and you just
My ultimate goal is to
Speaking
kill
of
the
goals,
Battleborn.
one of my goals: kill a Battleborn battery.
So, and you touched on it, the price. In comparison to, say, others who are trying to do what you do. And I say it that way because you are unique. You are very detail oriented. I've watched you. You're not OCD, but you are meticulous. And I say that because I'm not a psychologist, so I can't diagnose. So I've been told that, I did stay in a Holiday Inn Express once.
There you go.
No, but how would you say it's in comparison?
Do you mean cost-wise or just the installation-wise?
I'd say cost-wise compared to the installation. That makes sense?
No.
Yeah, I think so. So I honestly don't have very many people to compare it to because there's literally maybe a handful of actual nomadic installers out there, and I don't know what they charge.
Right.
What I do know in comparison to is the brick and mortar shops.
Okay.
And so if you're going to actually pull into a brick and mortar shop, like my labor rates are about 30% less. So
You heard that, folks.
on-
30% less.
on that
That's
term,
you.
like if you're comparing me to a dedicated shop with 20 guys working in it, yes, I'm going to be cheaper compared to other mobile installers. I'd like to think I'm upper tier price, but I honestly have no idea.
I would say you're upper tier value.
Oh, thank you.
That's the way
I
I
don't know
would.
if the price matches. If you want to go up, that's fine.
Yeah,
We're
I
done.
try not to concern myself with
There
what
you
other
go.
people are making. It's just like I'm happy to do this work at this quality, at this cost. It's why I don't charge by the hour. It's just,
There you
this
go.
is what I'm going to charge for this project.
Right.
Okay.
And then just try to make it as nice as we can.
There you go. Any lessons learned with this project?
That I probably need to write down all the 80/20 pieces you used.
I'll try to get you all that info.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna
you'll learn to say more of those, I'm sure. Yeah.
Lessons learned. Oh yeah, if you have a bank of DC to DC converters that you have to shove all the way behind a bunch of plumbing, pre-assemble them on the board before you install the board. That was a big one.
That's
Spent a lot of time wrapped around all that stuff trying to wire it up.
a good lesson.
So just kind of things like that, just processes will make it a little quicker. And I think also just on these fifth wheels, I've been kind of avoiding that area of install because of all the stuff back there. But I think this project just kind of showed that with a little bit of careful carpentry, that we can make sure there's a safe, water-free zone
Right.
to put your electronics in there.
There you go. And here's a note to manufacturers. Keep it clean, keep it neat.
Oh, yeah.
Quit leaving the wires like
rat's
some
nest.
a rat's
Yeah.
nest, exactly. That crazy spaghetti. Be clean and neat. It's not the extra seconds it takes you to do that, your customers will love you even more.
There you
I'm getting off my soapbox.
And no rubber hoses on PEX fittings.
There you
Tell
go.
you how many brand new Grand Designs I've seen of those little rubber hoses leaking.
go. Grand design.
Pay
Brand
attention.
spanking new.
Okay.
It's 5 in a row I've seen.
Okay.
Just saying.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Pay attention.
And they're trying to tighten up all these clamps and make these things work on brand new rigs.
There you go. That's
So,
crazy.
so what you're saying is be consistent with your piping. Quit trying to convert from one type of piping to
Right.
the other.
So they're using a slightly oversized rubber hose on a PEX fitting. You get a little drip there I've seen. So.
Hmm.
I'm gonna leave that joke alone. All right. That's pretty much all the questions I really have for you guys. Do you have any for your customers?
Questions for them?
Yeah, like what is it that they're looking for?
That's
Well, I'm curious what your experience was. You know, finding Cameron and being
Ah.
on site the whole week.
yeah. What's it like to be on the other side and trying to hire someone
Tell
that
us.
I've never met until the day I show up?
Right.
Well, I didn't know to tell you guys this, but we did a little stalking.
No.
No, actually we didn't. We actually found out about you guys through Battleborn, one of their consultants, because we had been. I will say I am a slightly anal individual when it comes to purchasing something. I don't mind spending money as long as I see value in it, but I have to see that value. And in doing so, doing my research, we reached out to Battleborn and asked them for a consult, and they were kind enough to do so. And in doing such, the individual we were speaking to had basically kind of asked, are we intending to do it ourselves? I said, well, I really don't have that kind of time. I think I could do it over time. I just don't have that kind of time. So we were looking to reach out to find someone who did, and he actually recommended you. Not that he endorsed you, and he was clear to say that, but he has looked at your work and saw how clean and neat it was as far as the design, overall end product, and therefore felt he was confident, so to speak, to be able to reach out and say, yes, use these guys. So I did. I reached out to you.
I looked it up first and I saw how pretty
Okay, so
everything looked.
she emailed or electronically stalked you.
Because it was, I wanted to see. And I mean, it looks awesome. Like, I've seen so many people do stuff and it just looks all haphazard and I can't stand.
Can't quite follow what's going on. And
Right.
Right.
So, and I don't know I'm just trusting he knows what he's doing. That's fine. So, but I know what the finished product looks like. And presentation, it's like,
Is 90% of it.
is 90% of anything. And it looks beautiful. So, that's
Speaks
beautiful.
for itself at that point. really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's another factor. I'm a firm believer. If you've got a quality product, it can sell itself. You don't have to sell it. Same thing, cars, you name it. That's the way I look at it. And then we had conversations. Now, I'm fortunate. I had some minor electronical background 100 years ago. Back when you still actually soldered stuff to a motherboard to build it. Instead of just, hey, you can buy that motherboard and slap it in. So I had a baseline understanding of what you did. So as we talked, I could see that you weren't just flying by the seat of your pants. You had the background education. You seek the knowledge. As what's his name?
Got all that from a phone call?
Pretty much.
Hey.
There's the comedian Ron
White.
Ron White makes the comment about you go to this place that has the knowledge called the library. You seek the knowledge. So
and then the knowledge has been checked out, and you can't get it. So anyway, that's a whole different
one. But so that to answer your question, that's how I first came to understand that yes, you were the guy to go to. Then the other is I had the ability to take time off to be here, so I could witness what you did. But I did that more out of a selfish reason. That way, as the system progresses in time and age, if things start to deteriorate due to, the material breaks down, it's what it does. I could then, theoretically, fix it.
More familiar.
Yeah, and fix it without having to reach out every 5 minutes. Hey Cameron.
It's Michael again.
I know it's doing
well,
already.
I always
like, this
tell
guy.
people, please call me before trying to fix something around. So I'll just add that. And and that's actually a good detail to bring up is, there's so few places that can do this for you. The chances are that when you're out in the boonies camping, that you're going to be remotely near anybody capable of repairing this stuff.
Right.
It's so slim. So it's really important, like you said, that everything's neat, organized, easy to follow.
Good product selection. Yeah.
And also what we do is we take really detailed photography as well. That way when you call up and you go, what do? I can send you a picture with a big red arrow and say, press that button.
There you go.
So,
you see the button that says,
Michael,
start,
press here.
Yeah, start. That's the one you want to push.
we spend a lot of time traveling in foreign countries, and I've learned early on, you don't want a gas pedal sensor getting you stuck in the middle of nowhere. You want to keep things as simple and as easy to follow as possible.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, for me, one good thing was he's very patient. he's yeah.
You're talking about Cameron, not
Yes,
me.
not you. He's talking about Cameron.
For Cameron,
For the audience.
Yes.
For the audience up there,
Yes.
you better clarify that.
Cameron's been very patient with all the questions and all the,
That is true.
This is your guys' system. You need to know
I
how
know,
it
but
works.
still.
It's important.
I
You're
know
investing
when you're, look, for me, when I'm working or I'm doing whatever, nothing drives me crazy quicker than somebody standing over my shoulder, watching or whatever and having a gazillion questions. So I know, and I really appreciate the patience
That you had with
that
Michael.
you have with Michael.
I knew it was.
Well, the rule of thumb is you're either going to ask me the questions now or in your first week of camping.
There you go.
That's usually what it is I go through everything, and then maybe, obviously there's customers that are already full-timing that I work for, and that's another subject. But a lot of my customers are getting ready.
Right.
And, so we'll answer a bunch of questions, and then they don't hit the road for months or maybe even a year. Yeah. And so that first week of camping comes around, and that's when the phone's ringing. And like, how do I do that again? I'm like, no problem.
So does that answer your question regarding?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yep.
Probably more details than you were looking for. So, and also for future folks who wish to use Cameron, feeding.
Yes.
Feed him. He needs food.
He will not stop to eat.
He will not stop to eat.
Get some food.
He'll work right through lunch.
I'm getting food shamed.
No,
No,
you're
it's
not
not.
getting
No,
food.
Your lunchbox too.
We're not food shaming you. We're
No.
food shaming people that you come to work. Look, I know not
Take care of your
everybody is
people.
from the South, and then maybe it's a Southern hospitality thing.
Well, it was very
But since I was a
appreciated. Thank you.
kid,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is just a little bit. Since I was a kid, even when my parents would have somebody come in to fix something in their house or whatever it was, you always had something for them.
That's definitely Southern House.
So I'm just saying. So I'm like, well, that's just what
another
we
reason
do.
to come back to the South and work again. Then.
There you go.
Guess so.
That's it. Do you have
Thank
anything?
you guys. No, I'm good.
Well, glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So, so where's your next stop?
Florida.
Oh, we're getting a lot of work to do in
Yeah.
Florida.
All right.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I might want to make that sooner or later because it's going to get hot soon.
Yeah, one more week.
Yeah, there you
Yeah, one more week.
All right.
and-
Nice.
So
Thank
I
you.
guess that we'll wrap this up. Thank you, Off the Grid Campers.
Of course.
Okay. Thank you, loving wife of mine.
Mhm.
So make sure you hit all the right buttons. Subscribe and all that crap. We'll add that later.